So there's a new Lower Than Atlantis album out. Lower Than Atlantis have been one of my favourite modern bands for a long time. I got into them around about the time of their third album, Changing Tune, and followed them to where they are now, one of the biggest modern rock bands in the UK right now. Which is quite a feat when you consider that they started off as a hardcore punk band. As they progressed and got bigger, they did start to make more commercially friendly music inspired by arena rock and pop punk, but they've never lost some of the aggression that they started off with. Their last self-titled album I thought signified the band at their most commercial, but even despite this I thought it was a really solid album with some fantastic standout singles, and they even re-released it in 2015 with 2 new songs which actually remain 2 of my favourites the band have ever done. And that brings us to 2017 with the band's newest album, Safe and Sound. The album is their first since 2011 to not be released by a major label, and it's pretty amazing the amount of success they're still getting despite being signed to an indie label. The album was recorded during July of 2016, and surprisingly we got the first single from it a month later, the song Work For It. Work For It reminds me a lot of Here We Go from their self-titled album. It's this really large, epic and motivational anthem with these heavy, down-tuned guitars and layered vocals. Although the chorus is definitely repetitive with there only actually being one line, I think it's a really solid track. It's so exciting and fun to listen to, and the bridge on this track, my word, that bridge is fucking killer. Although I think it was a song that I had to listen to a few times before it really stuck with me, to be honest. I think the chorus was so repetitive that it just threw me off instantly, but once I heard it a few times it really grew on me. It's definitely not one of the band's better singles and doesn't compare to anything of their previous 2 albums, but I liked it for what it was. In October the song Dumb was released, easily my favourite track on the album. It has a lot of production done to it which may turn people off, but I think the track is really well produced and sounds great. The melodies on this track are so catchy. I've had this song constantly stuck in my head over the past few months. I love the use of delay pedals on the clean guitar parts in the verses and intro, and the loud distorted guitars which make the chorus sound so loud and epic. Plus in the chorus there is this really punchy bass which cuts through and makes the song blast straight in your face. The next single we got was Had Enough, the opening track on the album, which similar to Work For It is a very aggressive, epic anthem. I think it's the perfect way to start the album because it has a lot of pop sounding production in there blended in with the large epic rock sound of it. Also the pre-chorus builds up in a way that makes it sound almost like it could have been used as a James Bond theme song, and the fuzz heavy guitar solo is so fucking cool. But the big problem I have with this song is that similar to Work For It, the chorus is so repetitive. I've had enough is literally the only lyric in the chorus, and when you hear that shouted repeatedly it can get a little bit boring after a while. Boomerang was the next single, which is arguably one of the most pop sounding commercial songs the band have done to date, and weirdly I think it actually kinda works. The production is really good. They use a lot of guitar effects in there along with the synthesizer, and it makes it sound really cool and interesting. It's a lot more of a subdued song than the other singles on the album. It's softer and less aggressive than the other tracks, but also because of that I think it has less of a lasting appeal to it. It's not as exciting as the other singles, and it's one I don't feel myself returning to that much because of it. It's not like it's a bad song or anything, I think it just gets a little bit boring fast. Speaking of getting boring fast, yeah, that's something that I think sums up this album. After the singles are out of the way, there's not much else to keep us interested. With the album it seems they wanted to go for a darker and more emotional tone, which in some instances really works. Long Time Coming is such a good song and easily one of my highlights on the album, but the rest of the album doesn't have many standout moments where I was impressed and excited. The songs in the latter half of the album are just a little bit boring and uninventive. The pop-inspired production really starts to overstay its welcome and sounds worn out by the end of the album, with the track Money being a particular example of this. There's also the ballad I Don't Wanna Be Here Anymore, which sounds like a ballad that could almost be on like a fucking McFly album or something with how much production is put on it. These tracks are like the polar opposite of Had Enough and Work For It. The album kind of feels like they had a load of ideas and just strung them together without any rhyme or reason. It also kind of feels like they just went into a studio and aimed to get an album done as quickly as possible, because these songs lack a lot of the substance that I think Lower Than Atlantis normally deliver. Even the single tracks don't come anywhere near to comparing to the singles on their last album. The album kind of just blows its load straight at the beginning and then fails to recover as it progresses, becoming less and less interesting and engaging. The lyrics are also really terrible at times, with lyrics such as "This night is a night to forget, we won't remember it." And even on the better tracks like "Work for It," it fails to be motivational like it actually tries to be. And it's a real shame to say this because, as I said earlier, they're one of my favourite bands. I was so excited for this album, but sadly I was incredibly disappointed. Maybe I'll come back to it in a few months or even years and appreciate it more, but now it just lacks the excitement and catchy songs of their last two albums and even the aggression of their first two albums. So I give Lower Than Atlantis' Safe and Sound 6.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching my review of the new Lower Than Atlantis album. Did you love it or hate it? Let me know in the comment section below, and if you like this video, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Also, I apologise if my voice sounded a little bit weird in this video. I'm quite ill at the moment, but I wanted to get this video done as quickly as possible. Right, now that's out of the way, back to working on my end of 2016 lists.